Welcome to Health Club with Julia. I'm your host, health coach, and registered dietitian, Julia Campagna. I'm on a mission to bridge the gap between looking your best and living your life to the fullest. After years of over dieting, struggling with disordered eating, and destroying my social life, I finally found how to reach my dream physique without sacrificing the things I love. Now I'm sharing all my strategies and education with you. We'll be talking all things health, including hormones, metabolism, and lifestyle to help you cut out the confusion and start living. So get cozy and join the club. Hello, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Health Club with Julia podcast. As always, I am so happy you are here. We are talking a little bit about birth control again today, one of my favorite topics ever, because I think the reason why I like talking about birth control so much is that so many women don't understand it. Like, you go into a doctor's office, you say, I have XYZ problems, and they say, cool, here's a pill. And that's really the extent of it. They don't really talk about side effects. They don't talk about how that affects your period and your cycle and how, you're just getting pumped with synthetic hormones, so it kind of stops your regular natural ovulation. Like, they don't go into explanation with all of these things. So I think that's why I love it so much, because people don't know about it, or women don't know about it a lot unless you do extensive research on your own. And I do believe that as women, we should understand more about it, because it really does affect our body in so many different ways, and we just aren't taught about that. We aren't really taught a lot about our cycle in general. Like, the amount of women that don't understand their cycle, and your cycle is like one of the biggest pieces of female health, and we don't understand it. Like, when we are in middle school, going through health class, high school, they really don't touch on it much, which is just wild to me. And again, birth control is really not talked about a lot in depth about its effects and how it works with your body and what it actually does. And so that's why I just love it so much, just to give you a better understanding of it. And again, I'm not here to tell you what to do with your body. It is your body. You make the decisions for yourself, whether you want to go on it, whether you want to stay on it, come off of it. That is totally up to you. I am just here to support you, and I'm here to give you more education on what we know about birth control, and that is what I want to do here today. I want to talk about how birth control affects the gut, and how to also restore gut health post birth control, and or also while you're still on it, there are things that you can do just to support your body as much as you can. Is if you have gut health issues on birth control, by supporting your body on birth control, will it totally get rid of those gut health issues? No, probably not. If the source is the birth control, then yes, you would have to stop that to really see improvements, actual improvements, but you can support your body better with certain things while still on it. So that's what I want to talk about today, and I feel like there are a ton of side effects to birth control. There's a meme out there, or a GIF or a GIF, however you say it, but it's basically, I forget exactly what it is, but it's this person unfolding the pamphlet or like the side effects sheet that comes with birth control packets, and it is like a full-on newspaper. It's actually even bigger than a newspaper, and it's just like this person unfolding it, and the caption is something about reading the side effects on birth control. And it's just wild, because there are so many things that are written about birth control just on that little pamphlet, but nobody reads it because, like I said, it's bigger than a newspaper. The writing on there is way smaller than writing in a newspaper, and so who's going to take the time to sit there and read through everything that's listed on this birth control pamphlet? Like, you just get the pill, you take it. That's really what most people will do. But there are a ton of side effects with birth control that you are probably not aware of, and one of those being gut health and just issues with gut health. Could be, there's a lot of different kind of disease states that are involved with gut health, and so there's a lot of different kinds of gut health issues. But in a blanket statement, I'm saying, birth control can lead to gut health issues of some kind. Maybe some mild, maybe some more severe, it depends on the person. But there are different kinds of gut health issues. But in general, birth control, one of the things is that it can, and again, this is not for everyone, so don't just say, oh my God, my gut health is so bad because I'm on birth control, or I'm afraid to take birth control because of my gut health. This is not for everybody, so I'm going to throw that out there. Personal experience, yes, this was the case for me, but it is not everybody. Not everybody experiences the same side effects with any sort of medication, birth control included, so just knowing that it's not everyone. And in this podcast episode specifically, I'm talking about hormonal birth control in form of the pill. There are other types of hormonal birth control, the IUD, the implant, shots. I am talking about the pill specifically and what we know about the pill. So just disclaiming that. It could be all of them, but I'm mostly just talking about in this episode when I'm talking about hormonal birth control, I mean the pill. So there's a lot of side effects. One big one is gut health issues that may arise for some people. And I want to go through how this hormonal birth control can affect your gut health. So there's several reasons how this can affect you. So let's go through, I want to talk about a few of them. Number one being it can impact your gut flora or your microbiome. So our gut is home to trillions of different bacteria, good and bad kinds of bacteria that live in our gut. Trillions, billions, trillions, there's a lot of different bacteria that lives in there. And so our microbiome is basically the house for all of these bacteria. They live throughout your GI tract, and you want them to be in balance. So again, like I said, there's good and bad bacteria that live in your GI tract, and you really want there to be a balance with both. Obviously, you don't want to have too much bad bacteria, but there is a balance, right? There's, even having some bad bacteria in the gut isn't necessarily a bad thing. You will have some bad bacteria, but if you have an overgrowth of bad bacteria, then that's an issue. But we want balance in the gut. We want balance with this gut flora, these bacteria that live in our gut. We want this balance and basically like homeostasis for our microbiome. Now, taking hormonal birth control can slightly alter the diversity within your gut, which can cause an imbalance or dysbiosis. So dysbiosis is an imbalance of this good and bad bacteria. And by taking this pill, you can slightly alter that diversity. And again, diversity, I mean there's many, many different kinds of bacteria, and we want a lot of diversity in the gut. We want different strains of bacteria in the gut. We don't want just, one strain of bacteria. We want many. Different bacteria in the gut have different functions and help us in different ways, and so we want a lot of diversity in the gut. But again, taking that pill can alter that diversity, sometimes cause overgrowth in bad bacteria, and that's going to lead to an imbalance or dysbiosis where your body isn't at homeostasis. Your microbiome isn't in a imbalance with each other with good and bad bacteria, and this can cause problems down the line. This can cause other GI related issues. So that's the start, right? That is like the root of more GI issues down the line. First line of defense, breaking down the diversity and altering that diversity and potentially having some overgrowth of some bad bacteria or having dysbiosis in the gut. So that is step one to creating more GI issues. So you take that issue and then you expand it. That issue itself, having dysbiosis, can cause, like I said, other issues, like it can potentially increase intestinal permeability or leaky gut. So you probably know it more as leaky gut. Basically, what this means is that there's, again, an imbalance in the bacteria in your gut. The decrease in diversity can cause less good bacteria and more bad bacteria, which also decreases the ability to fight off that bad bacteria. So if you have more bacteria growing in your gut and less good bacteria, that good bacteria is not able to fight off that bad bacteria as much. Think of it like war, I guess you can say, right? There's two different teams, good and bad, And if you have more of the bad, it's going to kind of overtake the good, and your body's going to have a hard time fighting against so much bad bacteria. And so again, you're leading to more of this overgrowth in bad bacteria. And so what leaky gut is basically this overgrowth of the bad bacteria that was step one of all these issues can lead to more inflammation. And this inflammation allows for particles of food, undigested food, to get through your GI lining and into your bloodstream. Now, when these particles slip through your gut lining and get into your bloodstream, this can cause an immune response, right? Because you're having things that are passing through to where they should not be, so your body's going, hold on, alarms are ringing, these particles, they should not be here, let's try to attack them. So you're having this immune response, right? Your body's going, okay, we need to get rid of this stuff. It's not in the right place. It's not supposed to be here. So this immune response then can trigger more inflammation, and you have a whole slew of other things. So if this is chronically happening over time and like you're not addressing the issue, you have a buildup of inflammation. This can lead to thyroid issues. This can lead to downregulation of sex hormones. This can lead to a lot of different other issues. So all of these issues can stem to one problem, that one problem being that hormonal birth control can impact your gut flora and create dysbiosis, or an imbalance in good and bad bacteria in your gut. And that itself can lead to all these issues. So leaky gut obviously is something that you don't want to have. Again, you're triggering an immune response. Anytime those food particles get through and go into your bloodstream, that's causing inflammation and then all the other things. So it's kind of like this cycle, right? You're taking this medication, it's causing this imbalance in your gut. The imbalance is causing leaky gut. Your leaky gut is causing an immune response, which is causing inflammation. Like, it is just like a cycle loop that goes around and around, and if it is not addressed, it continues to go around and around, and it can get worse and worse. So that is one of the ways that hormonal birth control can affect your gut health, which is a big part of this, right? This is a pretty big piece to the puzzle, because again, that one thing, that gut dysbiosis, can trigger a lot of other things. So that is definitely a source that needs to be identified and taken care of before it gets out of hand. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize that they have an issue until you have pretty severe symptoms. And at that point, when you're getting pretty severe symptoms, that means, it's been happening and it's been going on. And you haven't addressed it yet, which means, it's just going to take a little bit more time to heal that instead of finding that early. But again, a lot of the times you won't know that you have that unless you have some symptoms showing that. So that's number one. Number two is that taking hormonal birth control can impact estrogen metabolism. So what I mean by estrogen metabolism, basically in simple terms, estrogen metabolism means how we break down estrogen in the body. So this is very, very important, because we don't want extra circulating estrogen. We want to metabolize that and flush out any excess estrogen. This is going to happen through liver detox, through regular bowel movements. We want to be able to excrete any excess estrogen. But by having hormonal birth control, it may, again, remember with all of these things, it's not absolute 100% the case for everyone, but again, it may cause issues with estrogen metabolism, which means we are not breaking down our estrogen as well as we should be, which means we are not detoxifying that out, excreting that out, and it can recirculate in the body. Now, this is bad because, number one, then you're having what's called estrogen dominance, where you're having too much estrogen in balance with progesterone. So there's a balance in our sex hormones, progesterone and estrogen. We want them to be in balance. Obviously, everything in balance is good. So when you have an imbalance of estrogen, if estrogen is too high relative to progesterone, you have what's called estrogen dominance, which can cause a lot of other issues as well. So in terms of PMS, this is where you can get sore breasts, you're a little bit more moody, you have heavier cycles, maybe longer cycles. So it just affects your cycle health. And so again, we don't want too much estrogen, but that can happen if there are issues with metabolizing this estrogen and you're having too much circulating around the body. Now, if you're having too much circulating around the body, that can also impact your gut health, because it's all connected, right? Your gut health is directly linked to your sex hormones. If one is off, the other is probably going to be off. So if we have too much estrogen circulating the body, odds are we have some sort of gut issue as well that is caused by this higher estrogen in the body. So again, it's all linked together. Estrogen, difficulty with metabolizing estrogen in and of itself is harmful for the body, again, for estrogen dominance. Also, there's different pathways with estrogen metabolism. There are 3 different kinds. One kind is not the best and has higher risk of causing cancer. Again, this is not for everybody, so take this with a grain of salt. You would have to get testing done to see how you're metabolizing this estrogen. But if you are having trouble metabolizing your estrogen, I would definitely get that checked out, because you want to make sure that you don't have this more like high-risk cancer-causing form of metabolism with estrogen. So just keep that in mind as well. Again, this is very vague right now. You would have to do some testing to see that. But again, metabolizing our estrogen is very, very important. We need to be doing that. And so if you have problems with that, it's going to lead to other issues down the line. The third way that hormonal birth control can affect your gut health is weight loss resistance. So it can cause weight loss resistance because of this higher inflammation that we kind of already went through. It can be, you can have weight loss resistance because of leaky gut, issues with detoxification. So basically everything that I already mentioned can cause weight loss resistance. Having leaky gut causes more inflammation, and both of those things can cause weight loss resistance. Obviously, if you are more inflamed, it's going to be harder to lose weight. Your body is really kind of focused on this source of inflammation and trying to fight that, as well as the leaky gut. Again, you're triggering an immune response with leaky gut. Your body is focused on healing this area rather than weight loss, so you're going to be resistant to some of this. You're going to be resistant to some weight loss here. And then also, if you have detoxification issues, that can also cause weight loss resistance, because you're having this circulating estrogen, you're having problems with excreting things out of the body, which again, in turn, if you're not excreting things well, can cause more inflammation. So a lot of inflammation markers here to check and get a hold of, but it stems back to gut health, because all of this is kind of related to the gut. Leaky gut obviously is in the gut, causing more inflammation. Detoxification is partly due to your gut health and your liver detox, and so this is going to impact all of that, which can cause weight loss resistance, which makes you more frustrated because you want to lose weight and you can't lose weight because of these issues that are going on. Now, a fourth reason or way that it impacts your gut health is that it depletes nutrients. I'm not sure if you've heard of this before. Maybe you have not, but while you're taking medication, and this can happen with other medications too, it's not just hormonal birth control, certain medications can deplete certain vitamins and minerals in your body. And specifically, hormonal birth control can deplete several vitamins and minerals. So this includes B vitamins, including folate, which is B12, vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc, selenium, and magnesium. Those are some of the bigger ones that it does deplete. There are others that can be depleted, like selenium, but these ones are going to be like the top ones that we see depleted through use of hormonal birth control. So again, if you are depleting vitamins and minerals play specific roles in the body. They all have its role, they all have a job within the body, and so if you're depleting these vitamins and minerals and your body is not getting them as readily and you're not able to use them as readily, this can also impact your gut health. Like, your body needs these to help with absorption, digestion. All of these things have jobs, and again, if you are depleted of this, you're going to struggle with digestion. You're going to struggle with absorption of these nutrients, and so that's going to impact your gut health as well, simply because you don't have the right vitamins and minerals to help perform these jobs. And so you definitely want to. These are one of the things that you can still support the body in this. Again, while taking birth control, you still might be a little bit deficient in some of these things. It still might deplete these, but you can support your body by taking supplements, increasing your food sources of these vitamins and minerals to help combat that. So things like magnesium, vitamin C, vitamin E, B vitamins, a B complex, these are all great things to take. Selenium you can get through Brazil nuts. I've said this before, just 1 to 2 Brazil nuts a day does account for your required selenium needs, but you can also up your nutrition within these as well. So dark leafy greens is a great one, citrus fruits and vegetables. Bell peppers are a really great source of vitamin C as well. Try to get them through your diet, but again, while taking hormonal birth control, a supplement might be necessary because it is depleting those vitamins and minerals. So in order to help combat that, I would suggest taking a supplement. Again, this is going to vary person to person, and it's kind of hard to tell, but you can get lab work done to see if you have anything going on with any of these vitamins and minerals, or these ones are basic for general health, like a B complex. Not really going to see any negative side effects from that. Magnesium is a great one to take for a lot of people. Vitamin C, vitamin E, these ones are all pretty safe to take, but I would definitely look into taking some of those just because your body is depleted of these while taking hormonal birth control. Now, and the last point I want to make with gut health and hormonal birth control is that hormonal birth control can increase your risk for IBS diseases. Now, there are a couple of different diseases within IBS. You have IBD, ulcerative colitis or UC, Crohn's disease, IBS itself. These are all kind of what I'm talking about with IBS diseases. So again, hormonal birth control is increasing your risk of these disease states, which obviously are going to impact your gut health because they are all gut related. Ulcerative colitis, IBD, IBS, potentially even SIBO, Crohn's disease, these are all GI diseases. And so you're increasing your risk of GI diseases just simply by taking hormonal birth control. This one kind of speaks for itself. I don't have to touch on this one a bit more. This one is just straightforward. You're increasing your risk. So again, is this for everybody? No, but some people are at greater risk of these IBS diseases by taking it. So just taking that with a grain of salt. These are some of the ones that I wanted to highlight with hormonal birth control. And again, like I mentioned, this is not the case for every single person who takes hormonal birth control, but it is just higher risk for these things. Now, with that in mind, what can we do to help improve these things so that you don't have these higher risks? One would be to stop hormonal birth control. Obviously, if it's causing all these risks, take out the source of the risk and you'll have less odds of these things. But if you're not ready for that, again, there's nothing wrong with that. You need to do what's best for your body and your own self. So I'm going to talk about other ways that you can improve these symptoms even while still being on it. So this is really going to stem from more habitual stuff, like your daily habits and your lifestyle. These are going to help with these symptoms. So number one, I talked about this a lot with causes of gut health issues, is inflammation. So we want to address inflammation and try to decrease inflammation as much as possible. So there's a few ways that we can do this. Number one, watch what you are eating because there are some inflammatory foods that you would want to avoid. So a couple of them, high fructose corn syrup, vegetable oils, basically ultra processed foods you want to try to avoid because those are going to have more of the inflammatory ingredients and foods in them. So you want to be wary of what you are consuming, how often you are consuming those things, and just try to avoid them as much as possible. Try to have a whole food diet mostly, or minimally processed foods, but watch out for the ultra processed foods that are things like Oreos and chips, those kinds of foods. Secondary to that is you want to adopt an anti-inflammatory diet. So you want to be focusing on antioxidants. So this is going to come from a lot of fruits and vegetables. Berries, dark leafy greens, these are going to be great. Fruits and vegetables are your go-to for antioxidants. Make sure that you are having a variety of those throughout your week. You should be having at least one serving of each every day. And if you can, switching up those sources a couple times throughout the week. So for example, instead of having, let's say, asparagus every single night for 7 days in a row, try to have asparagus 2 nights and broccoli some others and kale salad another day and eggplant, and you get the point. Just switching up your diversity with your food to get different benefits from them. So that bone broth is also great for anti-inflammatory and just overall gut health in general. There's going to be a lot of collagen in bone broth, which does help. So that's a great source of food to add in. You want to focus on fermented foods, so kefir or kefir, however you want to say that, sauerkraut, kimchi, these are all fermented foods that are great for bacteria in your gut. This is really, really great for supporting good bacteria in your gut. So that's a great one to add in. Prebiotics are also great to have. Certain herbs do help with inflammation as well. So herbs like ginger, cinnamon, turmeric, these are all herbs that do help lower inflammation in the body. So maybe start having some of that on your foods. Like I like to have turmeric on a lot of things. I'll put it on avocado toast, I'll put it in salads, I'll put it in some dinners. Point or tip with turmeric, have some cracked pepper with it. The pepper does help bring out more of those anti-inflammatory effects of turmeric, so pairing those together is great. But also things like ginger, cinnamon is really great and pretty versatile. You can use those things for a lot of different foods. So maybe start sprinkling some spices and herbs onto your food as well. So that's the second part of that. And then also be mindful of fried foods with the inflammation. Again, I kind of talked about this already, but certain foods are going to cause more inflammation, like fried foods, baked goods, so cakes, cookies, muffins, croissants, like all your baked goods that you could see at a bakery. Excessive added sugars are going to increase your risk of more inflammation. And it's okay to have added sugars. I do want to point this out. It's okay to have that. We want at maximum 4 teaspoons of added sugars in our diet. So you can have some, but watch how much you are having. You want to keep that to a minimum. If anything says, on a label added sugars and it's more than I would say 7 grams, I would be wary of that, but you can have some. Just watch out for how much you are having with added sugars. But then another one could be soda. Soda is high in sugar and that can cause inflammation. Alcohol is going to cause some inflammation as well. So these are just some foods to be mindful of and avoid if you can, or just lessen the amount that you're having of these foods. And then the last thing I will say with inflammation is potentially cutting out dairy, gluten, and soy. Now, again, I emphasize potentially because not everybody has issues with these foods. If you do find that you have some issues with these foods, or if you just want to see if you feel better without these foods, you can do an elimination diet, which there's a certain method to use with the elimination diet, so be careful of that. Maybe work with a practitioner to help you with an elimination diet, but potentially these things could be removed and you might see an impact in them. These are some of the more inflammatory foods for most people, but again, not everybody is going to experience that with these foods, but potentially cut out dairy, gluten, and or soy and see how you feel with any of those. Now, second way that you can help improve symptoms while on birth control is fiber. Fiber is highly underrated. These are one of the things that I think is very overlooked in most people's health and very underrated. Fiber has so many benefits. It helps support our good bacteria in our gut. It helps to detox. It helps with liver detox. It helps with excreting waste, which does help excrete excess estrogen. Like, it does help get rid of toxins in the body, and it. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Health Club with Julia podcast. If you loved the episode, share the podcast and tag me, and subscribe so you don't miss any further episodes. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a DM. Thanks for being a part of the club. See you next time.